All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. One of the top news stories today follows a current theme that's been going on all throughout the month of March, and that is Asian hate crimes. At the start of the month, we had the massage parlor shootings targeting Asians in Atlanta. Then we had Deshaun Watson abusing women at massage parlors. There's been a lot of stories this month focusing on Asian hate crimes and racism towards Asians. And again, people really need to pick up on the theme of how the news operates. Or let me say that differently. People need to pick up on how the news operates in themes. All of a sudden, all this focus on racism towards Asians. Of course, racism is a real thing. You know, I grew up in a family where several of my uncles fought in Vietnam, and the way they refer to Asians is with that G-O-O-K word, because that's what they learned as soldiers in Vietnam, to call Asians G-O-O-Ks. And again, a lot of the racism and hatred comes from the military culture. You know, when you're taught to fight all these different people of the world, of different nations, different looks, you learn all these ways to dehumanize them so it's easier to kill. That's why Martin Luther King Jr. on April 4th, 1967, 1 year to the day of his assassination, gave his speech Beyond Vietnam, A Time to Break Silence, about how all of the racial matters in this nation, if you boil it down, they all come back to the military nature of the nation. Just like how at the beginning of the nation, you know, they killed all the Native Americans and said that they weren't humans. They were heathens, they were savages, they didn't have Bibles, they were godless. Again, it's a common pattern throughout history to dehumanize people, to murder them, to exploit them. Same thing's been done to black people, you know, to make them slaves. And people of all races across the world have been slaves. The same things are done all across the world for the same tactical reasons. But anyway, the media all of a sudden will zero in on things and really focus on it. And then the media will even report, man, is our reporting on this even helping? Because it seems that the hate crimes are even rising now that we're focusing on it. And that's exactly what they want. This is a divide and conquer agenda. The media is absolutely a part of it. It's the same media that's programmed people with this racism that then acts like it wants to be the hero, shedding light on it. And just to explain how contrived this stuff is, let's just watch this video that they're putting out today of a black man beating a 65-year-old Asian woman on the way to church. And I'm going to show you what this is really all about. During the time of the George Floyd trial, a 65-year-old woman on 43rd Street. Remember, in the George Floyd beating, the officer who was on camera the most, more than the officer who was on George Floyd's neck, was the Asian officer standing in front of the camera. I'm going to show you how all this comes together. It's all contrived. It's all part of a divide and conquer narrative. But here, let's just watch this video. Let's watch this video of their evidence of the black man beating the 65-year-old Asian woman. As we watch it, let's appreciate the video quality, you know. Let's appreciate this video quality, because as we know, we live in the age of super, super, super low-res cameras that would film just like this. And at the end of the video, let's also watch how the guys witnessing it, their reaction is to just close the doors. And they look like they're bodyguards. Watch this. TMZ, propaganda, always shaming black men. Actually, I'm going to rewind. Did you notice the other thing that we should focus on the camera? Who is filming this anyway? Who's filming this in super low res? And who knew to move the camera and focus on the woman as she walks across? Like, did they know this was going to happen? Of course they did, because this is all staged. This is all staged. And it's super low res, so you can't make out anyone. So the camera knew to follow that person before that happened. I mean, and then again, you can see the brutal violence, but you can see nothing. You can't make out anyone's race. You can't make out anything. And then these guys come over and they're like, oh, well, I think our response is to close the door. Okay. Now that was a total load of shit. And again, they say the woman was 65, the man was 38. And this article doesn't have it, but a lot of articles say the beating was on 43rd Street. I'll show you that in a moment. But let's just go through this. And realize, this is today's news, right? March 31st, 2021. Written 31/3, like 313, the 65th prime, the 65-year-old woman. And then you got this in the news today. Deshaun Watson, now he's got people on his side in the massage parlors, which are predominantly Asian. And again, the Deshaun Watson story, Deshaun Watson's from Georgia. It came out right after the massage parlor shootings targeting Asians in Georgia. But here, let's go over all this. So again, today's 31/3, like 313, the 65th prime number. Suspect arrested today. They said it's shortly after midnight Wednesday. That's today. The suspect, the 38-year-old black man, arrested for the beating of the 65-year-old woman. And they said she was walking to church. So notice hate is 34, church is 34, right? Hate 34, church 34. The word hatred has the gematria of 34, as does black. Hatred also has the 106 like black. And think of BET's 106 in Park. Think of how Black Lives Matter's 106, I Can't Breathe's 106. Again, they began testing the COVID vaccine on black Africans on the 106th day of the pandemic. Think about the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing, which was September 15th, 63, a date with 106 numerology. Think about how they painted 16th Street in Washington, D.C., which is known as Church Street with Black Lives Matter, last summer on June 5th. Again, the church bombing was in 63. Racism is 63. But notice how hatred has that 56 and 106, like Black Lives Matter, 56 and 106, which is really a movement about hatred. It's not about anything else. Anybody who's gone to a Black Lives Matter rally knows that it's all about hatred. It's not about unity. It's all about hatred. They're literally paying big black men with mental illness to spout craziness and act violent and chaotic and make black people look really bad. This goes on at every Black Lives Matter rally. Paying big black men who are physically threatening with clear mental illness to stand there and act crazy. This is going on at every Black Lives Matter rally in the nation. And who's allowing this? Who is literally allowing this? True chaos. The state wants it. The news wants it because they're trying to divide people. They're trying to make people take sides, and they're using people as useful idiots. And I'll talk more about this in a moment because I have firsthand experience. But anyway, all of this stuff is all by the numbers. It's all perfectly planned. It's all perfect ritual. And it's undeniable. Consider today's also March 31st, right? 3 plus 31, 34. Hate crime, hate 34. Woman on the way to church 34. Again, if you're new here and you do not understand how Gematria works, let me teach it to you again real quick. We'll just write out Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter equals 173 when you use the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, up to Z, the 26 letters, 26. And we've documented plenty of Black Lives Matter rituals with 173. The number they use the most in the Black Lives Matter rituals is 56. Black Lives Matter equals 56 when you use the alphabetic order with the rules numerology. So you see how Z is the 8th letter? I might be in the way. I am in the way. You see how Z equals 8? It's because the numerology of Z, the 26th letter, is 2 plus 6 is 8. So Z becomes 8. Y, the 25th letter, 2 plus 5 is 7. X, the 24th letter, 2 plus 4 is 6. You're just making each letter a single-digit number. That's why A through I are 1 through 9, but when you get to J, the 10th letter, the numerology of 10 is 1 plus 0 is 1. So J becomes 1. K, the 11th letter, becomes 1 plus 1 is 2. The next two ciphers are the reverse alphabetic order and the reverse alphabetic order with the rules numerology. And they're all incredibly important. Just to go back to this past year, last year, June 10th, 2020, NASCAR banned the Confederate flag. And that was a date with 56 numerology, June 10th, and a date that could be written 10/6 like 106. Notice NASCAR's 56 and 106, Black Lives Matter's 56 and 106, Black's 106, I Can't Breathe is 106, and they made the number 43 car. Notice how NASCAR's 43, the Black Lives Matter car. And again, they banned the Confederate flag from the Civil War. Civil War's 43 and 56. And George Floyd is 43 and 65, as we'll get to, because again, we're talking about an Asian woman beaten by a black man who was 65 years old on 43rd Street. And again, here's George Floyd. You see? And remember, George Perry Floyd, his full name is 201, just like Confederate. And from the day they tore down the Confederate statue in D.C. of Albert Pike, June 19, 2020, to the day of the Confederate symbolism at the Capitol insurrection was 201 days later, all staged. That was January 6, 6/1, like 61. The Civil War began in 1861 on the 102nd day of the year, April 12th. That's why George Perry Floyd in the most pure cipher is 102. So again, all this stuff is cleverly thought out. It's all contrived information. It's all propaganda by a code to have an impact on the populace. They want people divided, fighting amongst themselves because, as the phrase goes, united we stand, divided we fall. We're falling real fast right now, and we've never been more divided because so many people cannot wake up to the mind control that is had over them by the media and government because they're addicted to the TV, because they were raised in front of the TV, because they likely grew up in a home where parents were working all the time, and so the TV raised them. That's how society is. This is all by design. See, the same people who are doing this are the same people that destroyed the family many years ago. How did they destroy the family? Easy, by tricking people into it. And this might offend people, but here's how they destroyed the family. They instigated people with their propaganda to make it so that women thought that they should have to go out and work in the workplace and prove themselves like men. So what happened? Women wanted to get out there. So what happened? Women got out there and started working. And what did that do for people? Well, it cut the cost of labor in half. That's why back in the day, one man worked and he made more money for his entire family while the mom stayed home and raised the family than the equivalent of two parents do today, which is an absolute historical fact. One parent used to make more for the entire family than now two parents do in the modern time. And back in the day, you had one parent making the income, making the way. You had one parent raising the family. You had a family unit that was destroyed. Then two parents are working, so now no one to stay with children. So now children get put in slave school where they're raised by the state, where they're misinformed and lied to and propagandized and made into useful idiots, as most of the American people are. You're taught your whole life to believe in government and authority and news. That's all bullshit. That's all propaganda. Those are the three biggest liars in the history of the world, and you're taught to believe them and trust in them. The same people that feed you shit like this every day. This video we just watched. A complete joke, a complete mockery. How can people still be watching the news and watching this shit in 2021 and not going, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck kind of video quality is this? Let's watch it again. This is the same shit they do to us. These bogus terrorist attacks, these bogus bombings. The film always looks like this. Remember the Brussels airport bombing? It looked just like this the other year. And they put out images just like this, and they said, please help find these suspects. It's like, what the fuck? Who can see anything from this? This is fucking garbage. And people continue to watch it and fall for it and think it's real, It is pathetic. It is fucking pathetic. And that is the word to describe the people, the times, everything going on. But understand, it all started with breaking down the family unit. Putting all these ideas in emotional women's heads that they needed to get out there and work and prove themselves like men. No, they never needed to. All it did was destroy society, That's really where it started. If anyone takes offense with that, sorry. That's just a fact. Destroying the family unit, making everybody into wage slaves. So many women now are like, God, I hate being at home raising my children. I have to be out there and get a job. Man, I can't wait to get back out in the workplace. This is all mind control. You don't like raising your child? I mean, there's just so many women that, if you surveyed the women of the world who had to raise their child, so many of them would say the same thing. Oh, I just couldn't wait to get back out into the workforce. Really? You like being a wage slave rather than raising your own child? Wow. Mind control is real. Anyway, on this date, the hate crime against the woman walking to church, beaten by the black man, and just to understand how these rituals go down, remember the statue of the black football player at Texas statue. Let me pull it up here. Black. They did this November 27th, the day leaving 34 days left in the year. And they had him wear number 67. And what was it about 67? Oh, yeah. This was on the 331st day of the year, the 67th prime. So on the 331st day of the year, the 67th prime, They got Texas number 67, a statue of a black man unveiled, right? It's a date with 42 numerology as well. And Julius Whittier has that 93 like Black History Month. But again, just so many rituals with the same numbers is the point I'm trying to make. So again, church hate rituals in the past, the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing, which took place on a 106 date numerology, like hatred's 106, like black's 106, again, like Black Lives Matter's 106, like I Can't Breathe is 106, and, whoops, I don't know why I typed in 106. I Can't Breathe is 106, and, again, let's see, 106, African, I'll probably pull it up. Let me see. Chadwick Boseman died on Jackie Robinson Day, 106 days after the Boulé's birthday, Fraternity for Black Men. Thought this would have pulled it up faster. Hold on. African. Let me type in vaccine, see if that does it. Of course, Hank Aaron died by the numbers. Why is that not coming up? I think the date was June 24th. Hold on. I just want to show you guys this story. Hold on. Trump's platinum plan for blacks was another story by the numbers. Platinum has that 106 and 34 in it like black. You know, Trump did the platinum plan for black Americans. But this is weird that my article is not coming up. Oh, here it is. Yeah, it was June 24th. So first vaccinations begin on Africans for COVID-19. This was a trial. The pandemic was declared March 11th. June 24th was the 106th day of the pandemic. You know what I mean? Think about things like Tuskegee. Again, 201 placebos in Tuskegee. Event 201, the coronavirus pandemic simulation. Again, the number of the Jesuits who are behind all this, whose motto is divide and conquer. But yeah, 16th Street and Hate 16. And again, Washington, D.C., 16th Street is Church Street. And they painted Black Lives Matter on that on June 5th, a date that can be written 6-5 or 5-6. And Christianity 65 and Black Lives Matter is 56. But notice how it all comes together. Hatred, 56-106. Black Lives Matter, 56-106. What they did on June 5th last year was in tribute to the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing. And consider they said that this man beat the Asian woman on the 29th. Hatred's also 29 like black, a black man committing an act of hatred against Asians. And again, on the day that the George Floyd murder trial officially began, on the same day, this happens. And George Floyd, 65 and 43. An Asian woman, 65 years old, beat on 43rd Street, where in the George Floyd killing video, the officer standing in the front who did nothing, the one that's talked to the most by the cameraman, was an Asian man. And remember, the Philando Castile killing in Minnesota from a few years before that was an Asian officer and a black man, right? And all of these things have been contrived. All of these have been contrived, divisive stories in the news. So, again, I mean, just same patterns, same numbers, same types of rituals over and over and over. And just doing it in your face, too. And don't forget that they started the George Floyd murder trial officially March 29th, 44 weeks after his killing, by a 44-year-old officer on the 44th parallel north. That factors in with this, too, now that I think about it. The word Asian is 44, just like the word kill is 44. Kill is 44, Asian is 44, executions 44, shootings 44, you know. Minneapolis is on the 44th parallel, officers 44, Derek Chauvin was 44 years old at the time. They start the murder trial exactly 44 weeks later. On the same day, an Asian gets beat by a black man. And don't forget that the 44th president was the first black president. And the reason why... Here, actually, I'm going to show you the septenary and Chaldean ciphers are related to each other. I want you to see that African American is 44 in septenary and 43 in Chaldean. Obama was number 44, but he was the 43rd person to be president because Grover Cleveland had a split term. And remember, he gave his acceptance speech in Grant Park, which has that 43 in the most pure cipher, also 106 like black, also 56 like how he won the 56th election. And he did it in the land of Lincoln, and Lincoln's birthday is on the 43rd day of the year, and that had everything to do with the Civil War, which is 43. And Obama gave his acceptance speech on November 4th, 2008, in Grant Park, a date with 43 numerology. So all of these numbers that they're reporting are relevant to history. They're all numbers that tie in with history. The Civil War, the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing, what's going on with George Floyd, and realize they use the same numbers in these, recycled patterns. So, and then also him being arrested today after midnight on Wednesday. Today has 75 date numerology. His name is Brandon Elliott, which is 75. The phrase order out of chaos is 75, as is order. They said he was 38 years old, and he beat an Asian woman, which is 38, And here's the clearer picture of him, the alleged suspect, a black man. They said the beating was March 29th, the day leaving 277 days left in the year, the 59th prime. Slave, Negro, Blues, Rasta, they're all 59. They're all 59. 277, the 59th prime. Always shaming black men by the same numbers, the same patterns. 59, 42, again and again. Okay, so we covered how the whole George Floyd thing fits in, how they use the same kind of ritual, the same kind of number patterns with the NASCAR banning of the Confederate flag in tribute to George Floyd. Again, we just had 8 dead in shootings at 3 spas in metro Atlanta. 8-3-3-8, 38-year-old man beating the Asian woman, murders 83 and 38. They said that the man thought he killed the Asian woman in the story in TMZ, but she was only severely injured. They also said that the massage parlor shootings happened around 8:30 p.m., 8:30, again, just same old numbers. The last shooting in Cherokee County, 38, it happened on March 16th, like 16/3, like 163, the 38th prime. And Atlanta, Georgia, 59, his predominantly black city. And now we see what they're doing, Deshaun Watson, Asian women, black man, Asian woman. And, yeah, it's just so obvious. So obvious. Deshaun Watson, when his story came out, the news broke on the 18th. Race is 18. Now the latest headline is 18 people are in his favor. And notice from his September 14th birthday, from the day this news broke to his upcoming birthday was 181 days. Or hold on. The news broke March 18th, but they said the first lawsuit was filed the day before March 17th, 17/3, like 173. Again, this factors in with the whole Black Lives Matter thing, 173. But anyhow, from the date that the lawsuit was filed to his birthday was 181 days. Houston, Texas, 181. Massage therapist, 181, who filed the lawsuit. 181 is the 42nd prime. Remember, Jackie, Martin, Malcolm X, Tuskegee, slavery, all these words with the 42 connection. Here, the only black president today, Barack Hussein Obama II, 181, the 42nd prime, right? If you call him Barack Obama, it's got that 76, like how the Million Man March was on the day, leaving 76 days left in the year. Negro, 76, slave, 76, blues, 76, Rasta, 76. And again, Obama's birthday is August 4th. From his birthday, August 4th, to the start, and keep in mind he's 59 years old as we get the first black female, in the vice presidency and soon to be the president. Obama took office at age 47. Kamala will become the 47th president. But that was the 59th election, and Kamala was the huge 59 race ritual when she was made the VP nominee 1 week after his birthday on August 11, 2020, the date with 59 numerology. But look at this. From Obama's August 4th birthday to the start of Black History Month every year is 181 days, the 42nd prime. So, for example, his last birthday to the start of Black History Month, February 1st, 181 days. Barack Hussein Obama the second, 181. Black History, 181. Right? The 42nd prime, February 42. The month that ends on the 59th day of the year, February 28th, the awkward month. Slavery 42, slave 59, you know. Negro 59, the N-word 42, you know. So anyway, major race ritual with Deshaun Watson. The Jesuits behind all of this. And it's just so obvious. It's so themed. It's so clear. It's so by the numbers. And here, shout out to young Bryson. Young Bryson, his mom's worried about him because he's been practicing Gematria, and he's been adding a lot to the community. He's only 15 years old. He came out and pounded pavement in Seattle. He's a real asset, and he's a young person, but he's years ahead of him. But now his mom's getting at him, and his mom found this video out there, and she's like, see, Bryson, it's so easy to debunk Gematria. Now I'm going to just play a clip of this video that's been out there for years, which is nothing but a pile of trash. And again, it just shows you how powerful cognitive dissonance is. Every day I back up and prove that this work is legit, allows you to predict the future. I mean, just this past Sunday, we had out 3 predictions in the world of news and 4 in the world of basketball. We went 4-0 in basketball, and we went 3-0 with predictions in the world of news. We said in the United States there'd be tornadoes and flooding on March 28th. There was. Nashville in the southeast. And we knew that because it was the 87th day of the year in tornadoes, 87, and it was a date with 52 numerology, and there's always the flooding rituals on the 52 dates. It's clockwork every single month. We've been showing it for years, predicting the dates for years. And we said there would be church terrorism on that day because it was 28/3, like 283, the 61st prime, and church is 61, and cross is 61, and Jesus is 61, and it was Palm Sunday. And they like to do these big rituals on the big holidays for the respective religions. Bad things happen to Jews on the Jewish holidays. Bad things happen to Muslims on the Muslim holidays. Bad things happen to Christians on the Christian holidays. It's clockwork. We prove it every year. We predict the dates before they come. The predictions land again and again and again. So to sit back and watch what we do and then just debunk it because some, like literally just a total reject puts out a video like this, I mean, I don't want to diss Bryson's mom, but you got to be pathetic to be more persuaded by this. And the only reason you'd ever be more persuaded by this is because you don't want to believe the truth, because you can't handle the truth. So you look at some clown in the woods who makes some irrational, illogical argument and then say, oh, that makes more sense. So here, I'm just going to play it, and let's see how this stacks up compared to what we do day after day.
I am a reptilian. I'm sure this is news to many of you, but this is something that you should know about. I'm actually part of the Illuminati, and I'm here to mislead the masses. And I can actually prove it too. Gematria is the idea of assigning a number to each letter of the alphabet. And when we add up all the numbers in a word, we can actually find secret connections between other words that have the same number. The number for Duck of Truth in English Gematria is 882. And it just so happens that the number for Reptile Host is also 882. And Reptile Host in Jewish Gematria is 527, which is also the same number as the reptilians. So does that mean that I'm actually a reptilian, or is that just a coincidence? No. To both. So first I'm going to explain why Gematria doesn't hold any truth, and after that I'll talk a bit about the psychology that makes people believe that it does. This psychology is also relevant in the field of paranormal, and I personally find it very interesting, so please bear with me. So I wrote a little program that does a few experiments with Gematria, and I'll walk you through the codes real quick to show you how I came to these conclusions, and also so that people can't accuse me of making up lies to serve my reptilian agenda, of course. And to prevent this video from becoming boring, I'll also add a box with cute animals to keep you entertained. So we'll look only at English Gematria to keep it simple. We assign a number to each letter. A is 6, B is 12, C is 18, and so on. Then I import an English dictionary with about 335,000 words and assign a Gematria number to each of these words. Sounds like a lot of work, but for a computer it only takes a few seconds. And that's when we can start doing fun things with that information. The first thing I do is I see how many words each Gematria number has, I export it to CSV and make a graph out of that information. This is the result. I will link the graph as well as the code in the description below, by the way. But you can see an interesting pattern emerge, and you can also see that many words have the same number. The number with the largest amount of words is 558, with 2,934 words. And the average amount of words per Gematria number is 587. And that's sort of where the whole system falls apart. Some believe that evil organizations are using the system to communicate secret messages. But how can they possibly send accurate communication when there is ambiguity between, on average, 587 words?
So again, you can watch the rest of this video if you want to, but it's just all trash and it's all garbage, and that's a stupid argument too, because 587, if he's saying that there's 587 words on average in the English language that have the same numerical value, again, you have to think about how small of a percentage that is in light of the many words that there are in English. Here, how many words are there in English? How many words are there in the English language? Over 170,000 words. So here, take a calculator. See, again, only dumb people will fall for dumb arguments. And most people are dumb, and most people are looking for a reason to just think their way out of anything that's meaningful in their life, because most people are just complete losers that like sitting on their fat, lazy asses, watching TV, eating shit, and thinking about nothing beyond that. But hold on. Here, let's see. Online calculator. Let's see. Let's do it so everyone can see it. So his number was 587. Okay, so 587 divided by 170,000 equals 0.003%. So a very, very tiny fraction. Here, so times 1,000. Let's see. So in a group of 1,000 words, there would be about 3 that would have the same value. So again, this guy, if he thinks this is a real argument, I mean, he's already established that he's a moron. So you in a group of 1,000, you'd have a chance of 3 of those words having the same value. And so think about this. I mean, just with the most simple cipher, this is where I began. I realized something was going on right away. Jesus equals 74, cross 74, Messiah 74, gospel 74, parables 74. All those words are 74. And all of those relate to Jesus. Jesus, dead on the cross, believed to be the Messiah in Christianity. The story of Jesus' life is called the gospel. Jesus spoke in parables. So you have a 3 in 1,000 chance of all of those words having the same value and being related. So what's 3 in 1,000 times 3 in 1,000 times 3 in 1,000 times 3 in 1,000 times 3 in 1,000? A very, very improbable number. And see, this genius, he thinks he's debunked Gematria, and all he's done is proven it further. And see, Bryson's mother watches it and thinks that that's proof, because why? Because she doesn't have any mathematical knowledge, no critical thinking skills. Sorry, Bryson. This is common for a lot of people. It's not just your mom. But again, it's just like my sister, too. My sister is a fucking retard. She would be persuaded by that video, when in fact, it's just fucking garbage that appeals to really stupid people. Okay? You have better chance of winning the $1 billion lottery than you do this alignment right here. And then it doesn't just end there. Holiday, which means holy day, is 74. And what's our big holiday in the U.S.? July 4th, 7-4, right? 3 of the first, how many presidents died on July 4th? Adams and Jefferson died on the same day, 7-4 in 1826, and then 1,826 days later on 7-4, Monroe died. Is that a coincidence too? What are the odds of that? Even less likely than this right here. And of course, the word killing 74, and the calendar's set up so that March 15th, the Ides of March, is to remember the killing of Caesar by stabbing, which is another 74 word. And out of the 50 states, only one sums to 74, Oregon, the 33rd state, and we always talk about the 3374 thing. So again, the only people trying to debunk Gematria are really stupid fucking people, period. And this dumbass observation of what he did, just put these random things here and says, so see, Gematria proves I'm a reptilian. No, nobody ever said that. That's not how you use Gematria. Again, Donald Trump, here. How did we predict, for example, one of a million correct predictions, how did we predict that the Nationals would beat the Astros in Game 7 and help people win tens of thousands of dollars before the postseason even began? We saw, again, Nationals is 138, Dave Martinez, their manager, is 138, and again, Donald Trump's 138, and Trump hired the Nationals announcer for the inauguration in 2017, and I said then we'd probably see the Nationals win the World Series in the time of the Trump presidency. But anyway, notice, Donald Trump, Dave Martinez, and Nationals, they're all 138. The day the Nationals won the World Series was exactly 138 days after Trump's birthday. These are specific rituals that go beyond just pairing letters and words that go together. It's about seeing dates and birthdays as we prove it. And when this moron made this video years ago, he was targeting me. And the thing is, you know, he left out everything that we were doing. We were never saying you can just arbitrarily say, oh, this equals the same thing as this, so that means these are connected. I always taught that that's not how it works. You have to take things that are logically connected, and then you have to pair them together and recognize how they do it in dates and rituals and history and time repeating itself. So again, very stupid fucking person right here. And anyone persuaded by it is also an even bigger idiot. Okay? And then I was reading some of this clown's comments. He's like, I've never seen... He literally writes out that there's no predictive power in Gematria. Now, when he made that video, he made it at the end of 2016. So consider that. He's arguing down in his comments, if you want to take the time to read through this, that there's no predictive power in the knowledge of Gematria. Now, in 2016, let's think about all the correct predictions. We called Prince's death before it happened. We called the Super Bowl dead on in October. Broncos over Panthers, and why Von Miller would be the MVP. Huge prediction, months in advance, dead on. We called the Cubs to win the World Series that year, dead on. We called LeBron James to win the NBA Finals over the Warriors before the season began in Game 7 on the real King James's birthday, dead on. You know, and plus we called a whole bunch of other things. The date shootings would happen, all this stuff. This clown's going to make a video at the end of 2016 debunking Gematria? I mean, what a joke. What a joke. And you have to be a total joke to listen to a word of it. You got to be a total fucking joke. A pathetic person that's too fucking dumb to even be breathing. If you believe this video and you think Gematria is bullshit, trust me, your place in this world is decomposing in the ground as fertilizer because you are a burden to all that is good. Again, everyone who stands against this work and in the way of this work, you are siding with evil. We are out here exposing evil every day. Divide and conquer agendas, racism, murder, needless wars, rigged systems, propaganda that's meant to terrorize everyone every day. If you're going against that, you're on the side of all that, and you're a human piece of shit who should be decomposing in the ground, period, end of discussion. There is a war going on right now. Most people are standing by idly and letting hell rain loose while I'm here every day fighting and putting out the truth and telling you what's going to happen next and being dead on almost every single time. Okay? And clowns like this, some piece of shit in the woods out there, you know, talking his bullshit, getting his shill money, making illogical arguments. And again, this video has hardly gotten hardly any views, but still, it's still some idiots will come by, like Bryson's mom, and be persuaded by it. And sorry, Bryson, if you're out there, but I got to call your mom a spade. A spade's a spade, an idiot's an idiot. Just like I say the same thing about my sister, anyone persuaded by this video is fucking retarded. Period. End of discussion. Because this is a shit argument, easily debunked in 5 seconds, as I just did. Again, people are so dumb, man. And you have to understand my frustration, just sick of living in Dumbassville. Knowing I lived in Dumbassville since Bush became president. And even before that, but then Bush and then 9/11 and just all these pathetic things, all by the numbers. People are trying to see it's not a numbers game after 9/11. You got to be fucking retarded. You got to be fucking retarded, man. And again, just to remind you about another one. Adam Lanza, 112 pounds. Search it because everyone reported that Adam Lanza weighed 112 pounds. The Courant, NPR, Wikipedia, CNN, New York Times, Daily Kos, Washington Post. Here, where's the rest of them? AJC, all these websites, local news, international news, everyone reports he weighs 112 pounds. And again, this is that story was like the final straw that drew me to finding Gematria. Back then, I only knew these two ciphers, the alphabetic order and the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology, as I learned about in Manly P. Hall's The Secret Teachings of All Ages. And, back then I did it on pencil and paper. And I just wrote out Sandy Hook, and I said, look at that, man, 112. No wonder they keep reporting he weighs 112 pounds. And again, you look at his birthday. Again, it's beyond just names and words. His birthday is reportedly, where's he at? Adam Lanza Wiki. Where's he at? Would they take it down? Hold on. Adam Lanza birthday. His birthday is April 22nd. What day is April 22nd, you guys? April 22nd is the 112th day of the year. 112. And what was Sandy Hook compared to? It was compared to the Dune Blaine massacre, because it was another shooting of first graders that gun rights taken away in the UK. And that happened March 13th, 96. What's 3 plus 13 plus 96? It's 112. What was March 13th in a leap year? It was the 73rd day of the year. The 73rd day of the year, right? Dune Blaine is 73. Adam Lanza is 73, you see? It was an elementary school shooting. Elementary school, 73. What are the coordinates for Sandy Hook? It's on the 73rd meridian, you see? Ask yourself, why have I lost 20-some channels, most of which have been for commenting on Sandy Hook, while this clown's video, where did he go? Where's that ugly-ass fucking clown? Look at that. I don't mean to comment on people's appearance, but I mean, truly, a sorry-ass looking motherfucker and a retarded brain trying to debunk the truth in the world. What do we need people like this for? We don't. We don't. He'd make great fertilizer. But anyway, why is this clown's video still up while my channels keep getting deleted for exposing the truth? Think about that. They take down my videos for hate speech while I try to diffuse hate being generated by the media that big tech protects, That's all my channel's ever been about. Uniting people, showing people what side they should be on, and realize I am trying to unite people, but at the same time, like I said, this is a war. We are living in a war right now. This is a war against humanity. Your rights and liberties are being taken away. Your way of life's being taken away. I told you guys all this was going to happen many years ago. I said if we're not awake and organized by 2020, we will be fucked, because it'll be 19 years after 2001 and the 19 hijackers, and sure enough, what happens 19 years later? COVID-19, because chaos is 19, and these people work in cycles of the moon, which is on a 19-year cycle, and their motto is order out of chaos. Again, we've had these people figured out for a long time. We know exactly how they work. We prove our points every day. And meanwhile, the moron masses will watch a video like this, which makes a completely illogical argument, which is so easy to debunk if you have 5 IQ points, and people are still taken by it. So, yeah, I'm just so sick of everything, man. I'm just so sick of everything. I'll tell you something else. Part of the reason that they've been demonizing, people that have thoughts about going out and shooting society is, again, it's not right to just go out and shoot people randomly. I'm not saying that. But literally, there does need to be a war that happens, because there's a lot of dead weight in this nation, a lot of worthless losers, a lot of people who depend on the system, a lot of people who will do anything for the system, this system that's only here to destroy us. A lot of these people need to go. There really does need to be a war, just not on the New World Order's terms, but on the people's terms. Rising up and fighting back, and anyone who stands in the way, see you later. You need to go, period. Clowns like this, you need to go. You need to be out of here. And, again, I want to show you guys just how this looks in the streets. So January 16th, 2021, this year, the start of this year, I announced that I would be down in Portland at Powell's Books to talk to Antifa about what they're doing. And realize, I understand that Antifa is a federal operation, but I just wanted to see what this group of Antifa goons were like, hanging out in front of the bookstore, demanding it stay closed until they take a book off its shelves. So I went down there to talk to them about how, if you guys consider yourselves anti-fascists, how can you be into censorship when that's always been one of the chief tactics of fascism throughout history, censoring others? And we were talking to Antifa for a while, and some of them were listening more than others. Some were just acting crazy. And what's funny is, as I was explaining this to Antifa, a lot of them were screaming back that I was a white racist, which didn't make any sense because we weren't talking about race. We were talking about fascism and censorship, but it was just like they just have these canned lines. And a bunch of white people masked up calling me a white racist for talking about how censorship is a tactic of fascism. So anyway, since I announced I was going to be there, people in our community came to meet, and what happened is this man right here, whose back you see with the gray hoodie on and the beanie, he showed up with his wife. This is his wife right here, a little bit shorter with the longer hair. And I was talking to him, and I never met him before, but he came with my books and asked if I could sign them, and he even had my bigger book printed out. But while I was talking to him, all of a sudden, Antifa, and you can only see some here, there's probably like 10, 15, I don't know, somewhere between, there's probably about 15 of them. They all started screaming that the man in the gray called one of the Black Lives Matter protesters there the N-word. And he didn't at all. He didn't say anything at all. The Antifa people were trying to rile us up while we were talking. And what he was responding back to the Antifa people is, he said, listen, man, I only came here to share knowledge and love. He said, I didn't come here to fight with you guys. I didn't come here. But then all of a sudden, the whole mob of Antifa started all saying that he called one of the black people there the N-word, which did not happen. Did not happen at all. And keep in mind, one of the people that was there with us, who was Chiroglyphs, who we just did the interview with, was a black man. And he was there. And so here's what happened, because this video started recording maybe 30 seconds into this altercation. But here, the black man who has the mask over his face, who you can hardly see here, the edge of his face, he had just shown up minutes before this. And we found afterwards that there's a lot of videos of this guy online in Portland beating up people all summer. He's like the big enforcer, Black Lives Matter, mentally ill type of person that is federally protected and protected by the police to essentially instigate all these real crimes and make black people look bad. So he'd been doing this all summer. But he had just shown up. He wasn't there at first. The man with the mask on that has like the gold spikes or whatever those are, he was there the whole time, and him and I had talked, and, you know, we were kind of joking with each other, and everything was fine. But when this guy showed up, all of a sudden, they started accusing this guy of saying that he called somebody the N-word. So what happened was, before they get this close to each other, these two guys, the two black guys, they were 15 feet to the left. And when they all started screaming this, the one with the white mask on started to like move hard in the direction of the guy in the gray. And I just jumped in front of him. I said, whoa. I said, listen, they're all saying that, but he didn't say that. What he said is he came here to spread knowledge and love. He didn't say anything that they're accusing us of. I said, you should be mad at these people because they're trying to instigate something. And what he said back to me is, he said, get out of my way, I'm going to punch you in the face. And I said, I'm not going to move, man. I said, he's here with his wife. He didn't say nothing. He didn't try to start nothing. Well, his buddy, who was like more cool and laid back before all this happened, you know, they're both in front of me. And between the two of them, the big guy, the guy with the white mask probably weighs at least 260 pounds. I mean, he's built like a tree. You know, I weigh 165. This guy probably had 100 pounds on me. But I stood in the way of him. I said, man, just chill out. Nobody said that. Well, anyway, they weren't stopping, so they just busted right through me. So now they've gotten through me, and then this is where now they're up in his face, and I'm behind saying, like, man, like, I'm trying to get them to chill out. So, but here's what's messed up. The guy who uploaded this video, Andy No. Here, let me just show you how all this, let's go back here a second. Andy No, the total fraud who gets to go in the mainstream media, who gets to go on Joe Rogan. I should expose a lot of things about this guy, but here, hold on. I think this is the one right here. Okay, so on January 11th, 111, Antifa became the national news story. Notice Antifa's 111. This was on January 11th, 2021, a date with 53 numerology, and Andy No's full name is 53. And the national news story was that Antifa has Pal's book shut down in Portland, Oregon, which is the biggest tourist attraction in Portland, because they're protesting Andy No's book exposing Antifa. Now, the thing is, on the day that they did this, because it became the national news story, Andy Ngo's book rose to a bestseller, and it wasn't even out yet. Ended up coming out on the 33rd day of the year. But I said, I'm going to go down to Portland January 16th, this coming Saturday at the time, because this was a Monday. And I said, I'm going to go down there and educate Antifa about this and show them how their actions are actually helping Andy Ngo's book become a bestseller, and thinking about if that's good tactics or if that's really anti-fascism. So that's exactly what we went down there to do. And it's very clear that Andy Ngo's an agent. He has a British accent, yet he claims he's from Portland, Oregon. And supposedly he went back to Britain because he doesn't feel safe in Portland. You see what a big joke this is? And Portland's being used as the biggest psychological operations with Antifa and Black Lives Matter. But anyway, this guy, Andy Ngo, he had somebody recording across the street when all this broke out, and he uploaded it on his video, and he titled it, Portland Antifa Riot at Protest Over Andy Ngo's Book Outside Powell's Books, right? So completely false. The truth was, I was there handing out free copies of my book to anybody who wanted one, and educating about how these agendas are waged by a code. So I was there promoting my book and trying to get Antifa to see that their actions were only helping out Andy Ngo, who they're against. And I was also kind of trying to show them that they're both being controlled by the same things at the end of the day. But that was the truth. So anyway, he used this staged scene. And I mean, I use the word staged because it looks like it was planned. It looks like we became part of a planned setup. I'd advertised 5 days in advance I was going to be there. This happened about 30 minutes after I got there. And again, here, I'm just going to play this clip of what unfolded. And you see this person, this white person with the black bandana over their face and the black beanie and the ghost white skin and only their eyes are showing. This person ends up bear spraying me in the face. All I was just trying to do was just hold back the big guy and keep him off, from this man right here. His name was Justin, the guy in the gray, keeping Justin from getting mobbed. And I just met Justin moments before all this happened. But I was like, man, since he came out here to get, meet me and have his book signed, now he's getting jumped by Antifa and Black Lives Matter. I was trying to do all I could to keep these guys off of him. And luckily, he ends up holding his own, but definitely bought him some time before, all this happened. So, but yeah, Andy Ngo's crew was right there to film it all and promote it for their own book. So it just shows you. I advertised that I was going to be out there to expose Antifa and Andy Ngo, who's clearly an agent because he gets to go on Joe Rogan and all the mainstream media. And if you've never seen here, let me just show you some more about this Andy Ngo before I play the clip. This guy got silly stringed and claimed that it caused a brain hemorrhage. And he claimed this on Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan was even perplexed. So this was Andy Ngo's beat down by Antifa, getting hit with silly string. And notice silly string has that 56 like Society of Jesus, and it's the Jesuits who are behind all these agents and all this propaganda and the Joe Rogans of the world and the mainstream media. But Andy Ngo getting silly stringed supposedly caused a brain hemorrhage, which he told the story of on Joe Rogan. But this same goon who gets all this media exposure then had to film. Close this guy so I don't have to see his ugly face again. This guy had to use what happened to us even to promote his book more. And then he uploaded another video the day before his book released on February 1st, again showing this clip and using it to promote his book, saying that this was a fight that broke out outside of Powell's because people were fighting over his book, which wasn't further from the truth. But yeah, again, just you have Antifa, who's federally sanctioned, who's making everything about race, accusing everybody of being a racist. You have Black Lives Matter, where they're literally paying black men to go stand out on the corners and spout all this racist bullshit and threaten people's lives. In Spokane in September 2020, I was in Spokane. There was a Black Lives Matter protest, and I was trying to talk to an armed black man who was probably, 6'2", 6'3", big guy too. He probably weighed 230, 240. He wasn't quite as big as this guy. But he had his pistol strapped on his hip, and I was just trying to talk to him about how they're trying to divide the race, and he kept responding back that he was going to shoot me. He was going to shoot me. He was going to shoot me. And the group I was with was like, let's get out of here. I feel like he's actually going to shoot us. And after the group left, I went back over and talked to him again, and he was still threatening the same stuff. I don't think he was really going to shoot me, but at the same time, it's like, what man can stand on this corner, preach all this racist hatred, stand there with a gun on his hip, threaten people's lives, and again, just, the police allow this with Black Lives Matter and Antifa because it's all sanctioned. They want to make black people look bad. They want to make people who protest government look bad. That's what Antifa and Black Lives Matter both do. Understand, this is all what they call controlled opposition. It's all just to fuel the racial division in this country, All this is by design. It's all executed by a code. And when you stand up against it, you get all these people making videos falsely attacking you. You get all this slander. And even this right here, this looked like it was a set-up operation. This was the planned way to stop what we were doing, to falsely accuse us of saying something, then bear spray me in the face, because this whole diversion allowed them to bear spray me in the face. So anyway, here's how it unfolded in a matter of seconds. And realize, in the time up to this, I was already trying to break it up. I was standing between them. They were threatening to punch me, but they didn't. But then they shoved their way through me. I couldn't go through these two men that probably had 500 pounds between them. But anyway, here's what it looks like. This is the racially charged, society that they're creating with their agents that they have all over, in the news, on the corners of your town, and this is how it plays out. So, big man. All right, watch this. Here, I'm getting back up because he just shoved me down. Behind him is that person that's masked that's holding the bear spray. Watch how she's going to hold this can right up to my face. She almost sprayed me here. I didn't see it in real time. But, see, she's holding it right there in her hand. She's got the big old bear spray. But she's about to get me. So another guy just knocked him down. Now the big man's getting on him. So I get my hands on him here, and I'm holding him, and I'm trying to keep him from swinging. So I cause him to miss. Then I pull him right here and pull him back. But then the guy grabs me from behind and shoves me from behind. And then the bear spray person gets me right there. That's what that orange is. And luckily, Justin was able to hold his own. They got into a little bit of a a little bit of a sparring match, but nobody landed anything, thankfully. And then the big man fell on his own feet, and Justin was able to get out of there. But here's the bear spray person right after I got sprayed, holding the can over here. But yeah, this is just the times we live in. And again, for Bryson's mom to be putting down her son's doing something that's amazing right now. And again, you guys, for all the young people, you got to listen to your parents, but at the same time, Pink Floyd didn't write the song Mother for nothing. Mother's about how mother's going to put all her fears into you. And that's why they want a society that's full of estrogen and feminized. And you just see how many young men are just so feminine now, the way they speak, the way they carry themselves. This isn't by accident, this is by design. There's way more estrogen in the food. There's way more estrogen in the water. They are truly feminizing society. They're making people more emotional, weaker. This is what they want. Divided, weak, emotional, afraid. They've created a society of pansies, truly. And you look at clowns in this community who are showing this video and saying, "Oh, this proves that I'm weak." Please, you go out and stand between two men who have, 300 pounds on you combined, and you try to hold them back, from some... And Justin pretty much was a stranger to me, but I wasn't going to let them just jump Justin without, trying to do my part. And for all of you saying, "Oh, I should have punched him and started a fight myself," you guys are talking big, man. There's like 15 people around us standing with weapons, all sorts of shit. You're going to fight a mob. What are you, Bruce Lee? Sorry, I'm not trying to pretend to be Bruce Lee, but all I tried to do was try to, hold the man back. I wasn't trying to hurt him. I was just trying to use as much of my weight as I could to hold that man off getting on Justin. And, had to take one for the team is the way it turned out. But anyone watching this and saying like, "Oh, Zach got his ass kicked," please. Most of the clowns making videos like this don't even have balls to put their face on the screen. But no, I didn't get my ass kicked. I got shoved down and I got bear sprayed in the face. But at the same time, I'm happy because Justin got away. And I have a feeling, had I not done all that, Justin, it would have not been good for him. He had a bunch of people circling him and, trying to jump on him. And a mob was trying to beat his ass for no reason. So, but this is what it looks like, you guys. Just people all charged up, just waiting to fight and attack each other. And, I wish in the moment the guy who had the gold mask on, he well, again, he's probably paid to be there too, but he should have already known that we weren't racist. I mean, we'd already exchanged enough words and talked about enough things. When this guy came over, who's the fighter enforcer, who's on video all over Portland beating up all sorts of people throughout the summer, when he came over, you know, his whole demeanor changed, and then he became part of the fight. And notice also that this dude, can you see that red glove right there? He put on boxing gloves at some point. So that's how he didn't have those boxing gloves on at first, man. That's how I just know this whole thing was a setup. This whole thing was such a setup. Andy knows guys there to film. All of a sudden, they're accusing us of saying the N-word, and then they're trying to start a fight. And they got a 6'3", 6'4" man, 260 pounds, there to and he might have weighed more than 260. I mean, this is a big man. This guy is like a big old tree. So he did fall down on his feet though. He wasn't good on his feet, but this is a big dude right here, this man. But he takes a stumble right here. So this guy in the gold mask, he wasn't all big fighter before the other dude showed up, but that guy cannot stay on his feet. So anyway, this is where we're at, you guys. Understand all this stuff is an agenda. The news is against you. The government's against you. Antifa's backed by the government. If you saw it, when I was in Seattle the other week, I went up and asked the police. I said, how come you guys don't do anything about Antifa? And they said, well, you need to talk to your city council. That's where that order comes from. So see, again, the police are being instructed to stand down against these truly terrorist organizations. Antifa and Black Lives Matter are terrorist organizations. And just period, end of discussion. Sorry, there's no two ways about it. If you go and talk to these people on the corner, and I'm not saying everybody who shows up at a Black Lives Matter rally is a terrorist, but if you go talk to these ones that are obviously paid to be there, the ones just spouting off all this bullshit, accusing everybody of being a racist, throwing out all these threats, threatening to shoot you for trying to talk to them, this is a terrorist organization. And it's all state sanctioned, because remember what government is. The original definition of government is, or not, well, the original definition of government is mind control, but the original definition of terrorism is government by intimidation. And that's why they're intimidating people with Antifa and Black Lives Matter, trying to scare people with these organizations that are backed by the city, that are backed by the state, that are backed by the feds, that are protected by the police. It's just so obvious. So again, it's systematic destruction, you guys. At first, it was destroy the family, which they did long ago by doubling the workforce, by instigating women to go out and work. And realize how that also came about. That came about by the World Wars, which is part of destroying society too. The wars instilled racism and division among race and religion. They did that with the World Wars. That got rid of a lot of the manpower. It made a situation where women needed to work because the men were gone fighting. Then after that, then came the discussion of, well, why shouldn't women still be in the workplace? Which is exactly what big industry wanted, because then they had twice as many people in the workplace, which cut the cost of labor in half. So now people made half as much and worked twice as hard. And then next thing you know, you needed children in the school system. So now all the children are in state schools, getting propagandized, getting brainwashed. And again, here we are. It's just systematic, one thing after the next. Go back and listen to Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech, Beyond Vietnam, A Time to Break Silence. And it doesn't matter if Martin Luther King Jr. was an agent or not. His speech, Beyond Vietnam, A Time to Break Silence, 1 year to the day of his assassination, probably the truest speech ever spoken. All the problems go back to the military. All of them. The military teaches hatred, it teaches division, teaches everything that then flows through society. So we'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker. I'm going to go pound some pavement in Yakima and get out the word again. And then we got TFR tonight, which will be on GematriaEffectNews 22. So thank you for hitting the like. Thank you for sharing the content. Thank you for help getting the word out there. And if you're not doing that, well, then you're also part of the problem. And if you can't share it because you're afraid you're going to be made fun of, then you're part of the problem. You got the old cowardice. Again, the work needs to get out there. People need to understand this is the facts. This is the truth. This is what's going on. And some truth pills are hard to swallow. All right, Truth Seeker, we'll leave it there. Till next time.